guys? Welcome to Spark It Up Sports. I'm Johnny.
I'm Big Steve.
2025 season is just beginning, and the first stop on the train is the NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Indianapolis Colts.
Let's go, baby. And as we were talking earlier, one thing that comes with Indiana is Indiana fairs, dude. And this is pretty much what's going on in Indianapolis is the fucking college football meat market for these NFL heads. They're looking at these guys running around in their fucking underwear. How fast are they? How strong are they? Oh, that's my guy. I want him. I need him. I gotta have him. And we're here, baby. What everybody's been looking for. NFL Combine. It's 4 days of action. Every position has players in there. Like,
Absolutely. Today we are being introduced to the top 300 plus college prospects. This event allows them to showcase their skills to NFL coaches, GMs, and scouts ahead of the NFL draft.
yeah, it's fucking awesome. I think the biggest one everybody knows is the 40-yard dash. If you run under 4.3, you're getting drafted.
Absolutely.
You never like
Made it famous.
Exactly. Just fast, speed. They got the bench press, the 3-cone shuttle, fucking vertical, standing long jump. They got position drills. They got Wonderlace test, all of it. You name it.
We're in it. February 24th through the 26th, medical exams begin, making sure everyone's healthy, making sure those lungs are good, hearts are pounding.
How big is your hand? How big is your hand? That's the big question.
That's the big question. Kenny Pickett made it famous, the big hand test.
Well, he had big hands. I saw something today online. It was a tweet from Joey B after the 2020 Combine. It said, well, maybe I should retire now from football because my hands just aren't big enough. So with the Combine, you have to take everything with a grain of salt because sometimes football players don't have the measurables when it comes to this Combine speed, whatever, but they know how to fucking ball and play football.
Absolutely.
So
that's why this Combine is so important. Make sure you see every single aspect of
every aspect.
Not just the physical ones. You're looking at their medical. They go through psychological exams, making sure no one's going.
You name it. Like, they're prodding them, dude. This is literally the fair, dude. Who's winning first place? You're the number 1 draft pick.
And then, of course, team interviews. Coaches get the first chance to sit down with team, introduce them to their playbook. It'll see if they know the NFL lingo.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
And you've seen stuff coming out, like the first interview with teams, like Gronk has a great story. There's other stories of Gruden passing on people right away. Like,
absolutely.
The stories coming about from these interviews are awesome. So look forward to that, seeing what comes out of these first round of them.
Absolutely. For any of those common folk at home, you ever gone to your first job interview, this is exactly what these guys are doing.
This is it.
They're sitting down, they're suit and tie.
The only difference is my first job was for about $8.50 an hour, and theirs is for millions of dollars.
Yep.
So
big difference.
A little more pressure, a little more, but the butterflies will be there. And like some people can't handle this.
No.
It's like, you either make it or you don't. Very cutthroat league, and this is the beginning to weed out the ones that can't.
Some players even choose to sit out on days. Some players choose to skip workouts.
Yeah, if they know they're not going to do well, say they have a terrible bench, I'll skip that. Or if you're a top pick, there's no reason to go in there and lose value in this Combine.
Shedeur Sanders came out today, announced that he was not going to be participating in the throwing portions of the workouts.
Which I agree with that 100%. You look at those top picks last year, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, none of those guys threw. So
absolutely. Better for them to perform in their pro days at home in their home college stadium.
The thing with the pro day, like we were talking about, their own stadium, their own players. It's like their receivers catching the ball, their running backs, though, their coaches are there. Right. Yeah. So that's what you want if you're a top pick. Do you want to go to Indiana and be prodded around like that?
All right. February 27th through March 2nd, let's give you a little breakdown of the position groups for those that want to check it out. February 27th, D-line and linebackers are doing their workouts. February 28th, the DBs and the tight ends. March 1st, wide receivers and running backs. And March 2nd, the offensive linemen hit the field.
Say the best for last, baby. I think my favorite thing to watch is the DBs and the wide receivers running the 40 because that's where the record breakers come from. That's where the speed is in the game. They're super fun to watch. If you're running under a 4.3, they're flying in that 40.
Absolutely. This is where you get the big D linemen also that put out those numbers. Every time you see it.
They do some like on-field drills too, and like you can literally tell who's gonna be a stud.
Absolutely.
And it gets a little less good as it goes down. So,
but this is where you're introduced to those athletic freaks like J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon
Yeah.
Clowney,
Oh yeah.
they all performed extremely well in these pro days and ended up turning
Make a
themselves
name for
into Hall of Fame
yourself.
careers. Absolutely.
One of the things I did see, which is fucking hilarious, like not top 10 of the combine, was when Chris Jones was running it. And his fucking dick fell out, dude. And then he just ate it into the ground. He didn't know what to do, dude. So he just fell. His dick's flopping around. Dude. And he even said, "Oh, my dick fell out." Like, that's an all-time combine moment for me. I was watching live, kind of disturbed, but it is what it is. Like, you never know what you're getting at the combine.
Hey,
So.
wardrobe malfunction.
Wardrobe malfunction. I wish it was Jackson. Unfortunately, it was Chris Jones' dick flopping around, but that's neither here or there.
All right. As we begin our draft journey, we're going to be giving you our Spark It Up Sports lists by positions. This week, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with the offensive line. Steve?
Offensive line. This is our Spark It Up Sports draft series. Each week, we're going to be doing a different position. Being a former offensive lineman, this last week, I've been watching lots of film, and I got an offensive line tackles and guards list going. This draft is not one of the better drafts for offensive linemen. There's like maybe one or two guys that I think can come in and play right away, and those guys might not even be tackles by the time their career is said and done. So we're going to start with the tackle position. We're going to start at number 9 prospect. He is Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. He is 6'6", 320 pounds, 3-year starter at guard, has a nasty mullet, and he plays exactly the way you think someone with a mullet would play.
Down and dirty.
Down and dirty. One of the knocks on him is he plays a little too high, and he leans forward, which kind of gets him off balance, hard to recover. Then the edges are kind of open. So that's one thing to know to him is that he is 6'6", 320 pounds, too. Big so boy. Most of these guys are over 6'3". There's a couple under that, but they're all big, massive human beings. After that, at number 8, we got Jonah Savina.
Hey, nailed it.
Nailed it. He was a 3-year starter at Arizona. He is not as tall, but he is 339 pounds. He played right tackle his whole career, but you could tell he looks more like a guard. He isn't as athletic as some of the other players, and he has a tendency to gotta make this bigger. He has trouble like holding on to blocks. So a lot of times you see some players, they'll hit him and then they'll fall right off and go make the tackle. So he definitely needs to work on like holding a block, securing a block, letting the running back get through there on that. After that, we have at number 7, Ariante Irsay. He is from Minnesota, 6'5", 335. Another massive human being. He has very long arms, which is always a concern for linemen, is their arm length. There's a few guys in this draft who the arm length kind of hurts them. The arm length keeps them away from you.
Not good for the hand.
No. And the hand fighting is another big thing. When you watch those DNs, they get the hands out of the way, like, you ain't touching them, so. He has good quickness with pass sets for someone his size. He's so big, but he gets up there, gets ready. It's hard to beat him on quick moves. What else? He is not tight in the hips, or he is very tight in the hips, so his knee bend is not that good. If your knee bend is not that good, you play higher, you start overextending, you lose balance.
Okay.
When you bend your knees, I'm sure it translates directly to rugby. Tell you to bend your knees. Don't bend at the fucking waist. Like, it's all about athletic positions, whether you're a lineman, linebacker. And it's harder for these linemen to get in that position because they're big as fuck, dude.
Absolutely.
So with them, linemen, it's like your hips, how you bend, your knees, all that comes into play. So these bottom guys, they definitely are not as athletic as these top guys, and you can see it when you're watching videos.
All right, Ariante, love him.
Ooh. After that, we got Josh Connerly Jr. He is out of Oregon. He's 6'4", 315. He was a 2-year starter there. He was a player that got better as the season went on. He wasn't on many people's boards at the beginning of the year, but they do play a lot of quality opponents. Like I said, when I was watching film, Oregon plays Penn State.
Hey,
Abdul Carter. I've seen him play a lot watching film. And he's a beast too, but he handled them pretty well in different situations, so that was good to see. He also gets overextended. The base is unsteady, and the base is the biggest thing with these guys. You got to keep the base, keep your feet moving. After that, we have Emory Jones Jr. out of LSU. LSU has like 3 guys in this list for linemen. Watching their offensive line play is a thing of beauty, and the fact that we're so bad because of Brian Kelly is a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Because if you have this kind of talent up front, run the damn ball every play. Like, what are you doing? He was a 3-year starter at right tackle at LSU. Really broad shoulders, very long arms. He played opposite of Will Campbell, who's the number 1 guy. We'll get into him later. But he was playing in the SEC too. You're always playing good players year in, year out. To be a 3-year starter, too, you know he's seen the competition that's going to be in the NFL. So he has quick hands when they are swatted away. So when those defensive ends swat him back, he gets them back up in there real firm. So stop them in their tracks. What else?
Not as heavy as these other guys.
No, only 312, which is a thing. Like when you're lighter, you got to have better form and perfect form. If you look at like Lane Johnson with the Eagles, he's a fucking beast out there, but he's got a 6-pack.
Yeah.
So it's like the smaller you are, and you know he has perfect form every time. Where are we at? All right. Membo, he is out of Missouri. He's 6'3", 332. His height is not with the other guys, but his weight is there. And you can tell on film watching him that he does not have the height. And that's one of the concerns for me is those edge rushers. He can't quite get out there and reach them without the height. And his arms aren't as long, so it's like he can get beat around the edge pretty easily. He plays nasty and he finishes his blocks. I absolutely love that. Playing with a little attitude and finishing the blocks. Need that.
This sounds like one of those players that you were talking about that could possibly be better at a different position, not necessarily tackling.
Yeah, I think he's just too short. Like, he doesn't have the arm length or the height for tackle. And you see these DNs, dude. Like, they're so fast and so quick. And, like, you got to be fast off the ball. That size is just a little tough. All right, moving into the top 3 for offensive tackles. Number 3 is Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, 6'5", 310 pounds. He did suffer a season-ending injury this year, which is the major concern for me. Is he going to be healthy? If he does drop a little bit in the draft, I'm like, all right, take him a little later because he's good. But as long as he can recover from that injury, he will be fine. Great mobility. He might be the most athletic-looking tackle I saw on film. The injury is the biggest concern. He played at San Diego State in 2022 before he transferred to Ohio State. He didn't have the best year last year, but this year he did not let up a single sack at the beginning of the year. So that was awesome to see. He definitely turned it up this year and got himself into the conversation. The injury, obviously the only thing that scares me with him. All right, after that, we got Calvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, 6'4", 320 pounds. He was a 3-year starter at Texas, also in the SEC. Great mobility, really athletic. If I were drafting for someone to play next year, I would take him over Simmons just because of the injury, like I said. He has great body control, can use more work on his hand placement. So, like, this is a reoccurring thing with all these guys. Hand placement is super important, base super important, and flexibility. But his hand placement is probably one of the things that concerns me the most. He only gave up 1 sack last year. Impressive. Quinn Ewers, Archman in back there. He protected him the whole time. Sometimes he is a little late getting off the ball. Which, if you're playing tackle, you're late off the ball, you're fucked. So that is what he needs to figure out going into next year. That cannot be an issue. They're just too fat. You're going another level up. The speed's there, the strength's there, so you got to get off the damn ball, and that is what I think he's going to work on for sure. The number 1 guy in this draft is Will Campbell out of LSU for tackles. He is 6'6", 320 pounds. 3-year starter in the SEC against great competition, team captain. He only gave up 5 sacks his whole college career, going against Alabama, Georgia, you name it, all those studs. Where am I at?
Plays with great balance.
Yeah, great balance. He might have the best balance out of any of the guys I saw. When they go inside, he's right there with them. They go outside, right there with them. He keeps the edge, so he keeps them in front of him so they don't have like a 2-way go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He knows where they're going to go each time. Absolutely awesome. The concern for me though is like, is he gonna stay at tackle? I think he might move into guard,
Position.
but if you're gonna take him that high, he has to start at tackle and see if he can handle it. Don't start him at guard and work him out. Start him at tackle. Let him give it a go. And if he can't do tackle, move him into guard. In my eyes, he's 100% a starting guard in the NFL year one. I don't know if he is a starting tackle year one in the NFL. That's the concern for me with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I've ran quite a few mock drafts myself, and Kelvin Banks Jr. and Will Campbell are definitely those first two offensive
Yeah, and like all of them. Yeah.
Every single draft.
And like they're the most like tackles in this draft. Like I said, this is a weak draft class for offensive tackles. Another thing I was thinking about doing like all this research is I think it's going to be harder and harder to find offensive linemen in college and in the NFL. My concerns for this are because like 7-on-7 is the thing now. There really aren't offensive linemen until you get into like high school. So it's like everybody's playing these skill positions, so no one's learning offensive line until later in the year when you're too big or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, just a thought. No one wants to play O-line, especially with 7-7 going on. So
hey, everyone wants to make the big bills,
right. All right, moving over to guard. We're going to start it off at number 10, Jackson Slater from Sacramento State. He is 6'2", 320 pounds. He's the shortest guy in this list. Sacramento State FCS school, that is a concern because the competition he played with all year. He's a 4-year starter but suffered a season-ending knee injury this year. Good quickness, ability to redirect, and he also has a good burst. He has inconsistent hand placement that needs to be addressed. Once again, that hand placement. So offensive line, they call that the punch, the initial punch. If you get a good punch, you're stopping the D-line in their tracks. The placement is big because if you go outside, you're going to hold them. So the placement I'm talking about is getting those hands into the chest plate and letting them run. He is number 10 on this list, so he might even go undrafted in here, or he's definitely going to be a late pick at that. After that, we got Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia, 6'5", 315 pounds. He was a 2-year starter at Georgia. He has adequate length and has proportional frame, so he can add more weight, more strength, which will be good. He is underwhelming with core strength, though, and contact balance. So he has the frame for it, but he's got to add the strength to it. And when he gets contact, he gets off balance. So then you can't run him out of there. You can't get him out of the hole. You're off balance, dude. You're just holding on for your fucking life, pretty much. Like we saw the Mike Green when he got that fucking tackle. That motherfucker was off balance. He was on 1 foot off balance, and then you're fucked. So.
And he was flying.
Flying, dude. After that, we have Luke Kandra. He is out of Cincinnati. He is 6'4", 318 pounds. He was a 2-year starter at Cincinnati after transferring from Louisville. The coolest thing about this guy, he played 2,000 snaps and didn't have a single penalty.
Wow.
So, yeah. Oh, he had 1 penalty in 2,000 snaps, which is absolutely insane. He does have stiff lower body, which got to be agile, got to be mobile, and he has below average feet. Quick feet's a thing you need in the NFL with that speed up front, so that's a concern for him. Look for him to go in the later rounds, and maybe undrafted also.
Maybe in the next Jason Kelce.
I mean, you never know.
Never know.
You never know with these guys. That's what's great about it. But Jason Kelce, undersized, but what did he have? Great fucking feet and a base. I never saw that dude without a base. Yeah. Even when he was pulling, like...
And he almost went undrafted.
Exactly. All right. After that, we have Ajani Cornelius out of Oregon. He is 6'5", 315 pounds. He was a 4-year starter, 2 years at Rhode Island before he transferred to Oregon. He has a very powerful base and anchor to help the bull rush. So the bull rush, when those DNs, tackles, they get in there, just come for you. You got to drop that fucking ass on your hips and get an anchor and stop them. He is able to do that, which is awesome to be able to do at that level. He does lack the elite athleticism, exposing him to the elite pass rushers, he can't like get to the edge on those really fast guys. And then like if he's combo blocking with someone and he has to get up to that second level, the linebacker or the safety, he's not quite fast enough to get there, and they're going to go over him, under him, around him, or whatever. He's not going to get their hands on him. So definitely needs to work on that. Up next, who might be the biggest dude, O-lineman in the draft, Anthony Belton out of North Carolina State, 6'5", 345 pounds. He has good arm length and his ability to stun with his power. I mean, that's a big motherfucker, dude. So he brings the heat, especially run plays. Pass plays are a concern with him just because his overall size, like, he can't get to those guys. He's just not fast enough. Concern for him is the outside zone, the stretch plays. Can he reach that D tackle and get on that edge, or is that D tackle just going to blow the whole fucking play up? He's probably going to need help from a tackle or whatever when it comes down to that. So one thing to look there.
Like you were saying earlier, a couple tackles that can move to guards. Is it the same thing with the guards? This guy's pretty big. Is it possible that you can move him to a tackle maybe later on?
I don't feel like they go from guard to tackle that often.
Not transfer.
Sometimes they do. You just had to be more athletic at tackle. Like, it's all about athleticism once you get out on that edge. Because, like, look at Trent Williams. He really is not super big.
Yeah.
But he's just so athletic. He's more athletic than some of these DNs. So, but when it comes to these interior offensive linemen, they need to play right guard, left guard, and center. They got to play all of them. So when we get up to Gray Zabel, he's the next guy. He's out of North Dakota State, 6'5", 316 pounds, 41 starts in 4 different positions at North Dakota State. If you remember, he was at the Senior Bowl. He was who I thought was the best O-lineman in the Senior Bowl. His feet were unbelievable, base the entire time, was able to shadow the D lineman. So I think he's going to be great. And he's played all the different positions. He has not played center, so that is one thing he's going to have to work on. But if he can play every other position, I imagine he's going to be able to play center. One concern with him is like his strength and building on his strength. He's got a good frame, so he can add muscle and whatnot. Another thing is the competition throughout his career, because he did play at North Dakota State. It's an FCS school. But looking at him at the Senior Bowl, he held his own against all those All-Stars. So I do think he's probably going to go late first, early second, maybe. Probably a day 2 guy, though, I imagine.
Day 2.
All right. After that, we got Jared Wilson out of Georgia. He's 6'3", 310 pounds. He was a 1-year starter at Georgia, but lacks size and power for the NFL. 6'3", 310, 1-year starter. They think that he can like learn because he's only played 1 year. So this is going to be a project, late round, maybe practice squad a couple years. And then they think he can come in and play. He needs to work on his hand fighting technique and sustaining blocks to the whistles. That's one thing coaches were always on me is play to the whistle, block to the whistle, block to the whistle. And he needs work on that. All right, there's 2 more left with a second spot. We have Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, 6'4", 320 pounds, 3-year starter at Ohio State. He played left tackle this year after Josh Simmons got hurt. So that is great experience for him. If, say, someone does get hurt in the NFL, he can come in for a series, for maybe a game or 2. I don't think he will ever be a full-time starter at tackle in the NFL, but he can come in there and do it for a little bit. If you could do that, jump in there Ohio State like that, you're going to be fine. He is able to sustain the blocks once he gets onto him, which we just talked about. So that's huge to have that. One thing that is of concern is he has too much of a forward leaning. So when you lean forward, it like opens up the edges. It, like instead of a square, it's kind of like that. So you can just fucking go either way, 2-way run. So leaning forward, bending at the waist is a concern. Has to work on that. After that, the number 1 offensive guard is Tyler Booker out of Alabama, 6'5", 325 pounds. Absolute road grader. He is a guard, and that's it. He's not going to play tackle. He has enough burst to get out on pull, so he's even pulling, dude. You should watch him pull. It's like unbelievable. Watching Alabama's offensive line was very impressive. His foot speed and lateral agility is of concern. Lateral agility, if you just got to stay in front of him the whole way. And he's not like Jalen Carter, I think, might have his number because Jalen Carter is so fast. But Jalen Carter's also a Pro Bowler, all pro. So But yeah, that's the list for the offensive guards. Like I said, this draft, as far as it comes to offensive line, there are no like future Hall of Famers. There might not even be like guaranteed all pros or pro ballers in this class. But I am excited to see when they show up to this combine what kind of numbers they're putting up, how fast they're 40, the 3-cone drill, their vertical, you name it. Looking forward to all that. And how they do on their like one-on-one bills, because they do like mirroring drills and stuff like that. And you can tell how athletic these guys are for sure.
Absolutely. As we know, these lists can change. They are
Ever
not
changing, ever
concrete.
changing. Like this list after the combine for this week is going to be different.
Absolutely.
Like, because we're going to find more information about all these players. So until draft day, you don't fucking know really who's going to who. Because another thing I was kind of reading and researching is like some teams run the zone play, some teams run the power run play, and like these bigger guys who don't have the lateral movement, they can't run the outside zone because they can't reach that 3 like I was talking about. So like a zone team ain't gonna draft these big motherfuckers. They're gonna get a Gray Zabel who can get out there, Jason Kelsey, get out there and move. So it all depends on like what offense you're running, your team need, all that. So everything goes into consideration.
Some of these guys aren't even ready to play this year.
Oh, well, that's the thing. They're project players. Like the jump from the college football to the NFL, especially at the offensive line, I feel like is pretty tough.
All right. Next week, we're going to come at you with another position group, give you another couple lists and breakdowns. But for the rest of this, we're going to jump into who goes number 1 in the 2025 NFL draft. All right. We gave you 4 possible choices. And let's go ahead and break them down for you. First one, Shedeur Sanders, Colorado. 6'2", 215 pounds, quarterback, son of Coach Prime. Most polarizing prospect in this draft with the Dion show that follows.
Right? Unbelievable. I just don't know what Tennessee's going to do with that number 1. That's the thing. What does Tennessee want to do?
Do they go offense? Do they go defense?
Right. And I think the quarterback position is such like a hit or miss that you could get like Abdul Carter, number 1. It was like, you know, is coming in. He's playing right away. That's
get
like
a Travis Hunter.
That's what I'm saying.
Generational player.
I honestly think Shedeur falls to the Raiders. They might not even need to trade.
Yeah, a lot of the breakdowns have them Shedeur falling, Shedeur going to Cleveland, Shedeur going to New York.
I think Cam Ward's gonna go first. So as long as Cleveland or New York doesn't take Shedeur, then.
Just a couple breakdown on Shedeur. Shedeur, great classic drop back passer. Does have a propensity to hold on to that ball a little bit too much.
God, I feel that with Caleb fucking Williams. Holy shit. But he's also had 0 offensive line. For 1 year, he had no offensive line. Last year was a little better, but he was like in the Caleb Williams situation.
Absolutely. So he does take very bad sacks. He does display superb timing, anticipation on those touch throws. Routinely delivering inside the numbers. Superb strike zone efficiency enables an offense to move the chains and control the game.
I think like once he gets the NFL, it might slow down for him a little bit. Because it's not like college where like you never know what you're getting from a defense. You're lining up on different hashes and shit. Like the field's just different in college, and I feel like he's been around the NFL his entire fucking life with his dad and his brothers and everything. That like once he gets in there, it's a different game.
Been there before.
Yeah, exactly. And he's gonna be treated differently than he's been treated his whole career. He's played for his dad his entire career.
Yeah,
his entire career. So now it's like you're passing to someone else. He's gonna get coached differently. It's gonna be interesting to see how he handles that.
All right, our next option, Cam Ward, quarterback. Miami Hurricanes, 6'2", 223 pounds, was a 0 recruit, played at Washington State, transferred over to Miami. Going to be the possible number 1. Definite testament of hard work.
Oh, yeah. Coming from nothing, building his way all the way to maybe the number 1 pick. If not top 3, I'm sure.
Absolutely. This guy can make every single throw in the book. So spectacular velocity and zip. Throws darts. Has every single arm angle you can imagine.
His arm is so unbelievably strong. You seen the clip where he's just standing there, just like chilling? And just
Gunslinger.
hucks it like 40 yards, dude.
Insane.
Insane.
But that same that gunslinger
Will get him in
mentality
trouble.
does get him into trouble. Has a propensity to make bad throws, bad decisions. Especially, he is a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes he does want to do a little.
I think the biggest question for him is going to be the on-site interviews with the coaches, just so you can pick his brain and see like what he's thinking and how he like thinks about the offense and the defense and like the steps he takes.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing.
Into it.
Yeah.
One of the big things with this combine process. Remember, Cam Ward played in the first half of that bowl game, broke all of his records, and then came out.
See ya.
I bet you that's going to be a question on a lot of these coaches.
I don't think it is.
No, you don't think so?
That is 100% not an issue.
Ah,
Because it wasn't for anything.
I think it speaks to the team. It speaks to the team of the players.
No, because he would never do that in the NFL. He's saved himself for the NFL is what he did.
I think it's a question they ask.
Nah. No way.
All right.
And he's going to say, yeah, my coach told me to sit out.
Third option,
Who we got?
Abdul Carter. The reason I brought it up was because Shador and him were working out this past week.
Oh, I know. I saw
And they
that
were
shit.
making
Yeah.
fun of each other. That's why. All right, third option, Abdul Carter, defensive end, Penn State, 6'3", 252 pounds, quite possibly the best defensive player in this draft.
Yep. And we've seen defensive line and pressure and what it can do to an offense. And if I'm picking number one, I'm taking him. Because you don't really know if these quarterbacks are going to pan out. They could both be terrible. Look at Will Levi.
Mm-hmm.
Not that good. You take the D lineman, you build around him, I think. Because I think he's like the best player in this draft, hands down, can make an impact day one. What do you need? Like 10 sacks to make an impact?
Yeah.
In 1 year, you need 10 sacks. You have 17 games. 1 sack every other game, and you're an impact player. So look for him to go very high in this draft. And like the more I'm watching football, the more I'm realizing like that pass rush is fucking
very important.
Key. Yeah.
All right. Blur off the corner with his cat-like quickness and a burst of overwhelming offensive tackles in one-on-one situations. His athleticism and ability to convert speed into power on bull rushes and power maneuvers make him nearly impossible to contain.
Yeah, absolute beast. I've seen him play a lot the last week watching the offensive line, and a bunch of those guys, Oregon, Ohio State, who else played him? But yeah, they all had fits with him.
Absolutely.
He definitely worked them all.
And great player, quite possibly best defensive player in this whole NFL draft.
Yeah.
All right, fourth option, Travis Hunter, DB, wide receiver, Colorado, 6'1", 185 pounds. Heisman Trophy winner, two-way playmaker with superb instincts, awareness, and ball skills.
Will he play two positions in the NFL?
Absolutely.
I think here and there he will.
From everything they're saying, he looks like a great nickel, maybe cornerback 1, possible wide receiver 2 that /3, possible gadget play only scenarios.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. He's been fun to watch. I think I'm taking a fucking edge rusher over him.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I just like the edge rushers just have so much value right now. I was thinking about it too, because like you get a good corner like Surtain the second, he takes away half the field. I get that, but like if they get pressure, you don't have to take away any of the field. like we saw with the Eagles. Like you don't have to take anything away as a DB if your D line can handle that. So starts up front with me for sure. I'm an offensive lineman, blah. Story is old as fucking time, but I'm excited about Travis Hunter for sure.
Absolutely. So question still stands. If you're the Tennessee Titans with that number 1 pick, who are you taking?
Me personally, I'm going Abdul Carter.
Absolutely.
How about you?
I agree. Abdul Carter, definitely best defensive player. Build around him. The only thing that sucks for them is that their offense is in shambles.
Shambles, dude.
So if you're Abdul Carter,
I want to see Will Levi get one more go, dude. One more go. I was listening to a podcast and they were saying how like the head coach needs to be held accountable too. It was his first year as a head coach.
Yeah.
And he played fucking mind games with him. Like, how you gonna, like, you can't talk to a quarterback like that. Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you doing? But, like, that does not work. If anything we saw this year, what happened with them, like, that doesn't work. NFL, college, like, quarterbacks are different. You need to build them up. build them up. You break them down, then they don't want to throw it. Then it's just a fucking disaster.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly think that coach needs to be held accountable too. Because Will Levi does show signs, but it's like
every once in a while.
Yeah. Maybe with a different coach, he's better. I don't know. The quarterback's position is just so hard to call, dude. And if you get a bad coach, you're fucked. But if you get a really good, like Sam Darnold with O'Connell, and so it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Good coaches make good players,
right? Straight up, they get the best out of them. That's for sure.
All right, I gotta think. That's all we got.
That's it. Yup. All right, that's a wrap for this episode of our draft series. Offensive tackles, offensive guards. We went through them. We went through our top 4 picks, who we think is going to go number 1. Next week, I'm not sure what position we're going to be doing, but we're going to be doing another position. There are 8 more weeks until the NFL draft. Each week, we're going to be covering something different about the draft. Next week, we'll also go over some of the combine numbers, what stuck out to us and what didn't. So I love the NFL draft. I'm excited. I can't wait to keep doing this research, keep watching film, all this. So onward and upward for the draft.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. Find out who your team is going to be looking at on their big boards. Build your own big board at home. Follow along.
Oh, yeah. Sparkdale Sports Big Board will be out here in a few weeks. We got a little more work to do on it, but every position, we're going to have a top 10, pictures, you name it. So
absolutely.
Keep checking our social media.
Like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah, videos on YouTube, shorts are on TikTok, Instagram. Thanks for stopping by.
Go Raiders.
Go Bears.